All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we will cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight, right here from the studios of the X Zone Broadcast Network in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. Just a bit of breaking news as of earlier today. The X Zone television channel is now part of Mojo Media, a brand new streaming television company. And as we get closer to our launch date with Mojo Media, I will tell you much more about this. X Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Dr. Christopher Macklin. He is a highly respected as a UFO expert, medical intuitive, remote viewer, spiritual teacher, and energetic healer for his work in assisting people in achieving optimal spiritual, mental, emotional, physical health. His work, which addresses a wide range of mind, body, spirit imbalances to overall wellness, which is well received and resonates with the general public, who have been experiencing all kinds of emotions, chronic mental imbalances, and increased physical illnesses during the pandemic. And those feelings pour on into this very day. And complicating things, it has to be part of what we're seeing all over social media. Here's something that you may not know listening to us around the world. Earlier today, a class action suit was launched against Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, and other meta companies by Ontario school boards for influencing their students in the wrong way. This will be very interesting to see what happens. What will happen? Are the school boards going to actually proceed with this class action for a monetary value? Are the school boards going to proceed to have these social media outlets closed? We have no idea at this time what is happening, but we are following the story very closely in the newsroom here. And as we find more details, we'll certainly share with you. Send me an email on your thoughts about that. Should schools file a class action suit against social media giants? What do you think? Send me your emails, xzone@classic1220.ca. Christopher Macklin is here, and Dr. Christopher Macklin, as always, welcome to the X Zone. How are you today, sir?
I'm wonderful. Rob, I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me back. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, so you're one of the most interesting people I know, Dr. Chris. And as I was talking before we, introduced you, this entire thing that we're looking at with AI, transhumanism, nanotechnology, and their effects on humanity, are we just seeing the tip of the iceberg when we see school boards who are actually going to go against these mega giants and say, hey, we've had it?
I believe we are, actually. I think there's going to be so many more action lawsuits. I think, things are going to really change with social media because, of course, they're shadow banning people. We even had our YouTube channel taken down for spiritual healing.
What?
Because it wasn't authorized by the WHO. It wasn't in line with the WHO. I thought, oh, okay.
Well, what happened to the freedom that we're supposed to have?
Well, it's completely gone. I mean, it's. But they're very well, they're not very careful about it. I mean, we have 245,000 people on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We used to, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we used to put something up, had, a lot of interaction, like 5, 10, whatever thousand people. Nowadays, if we put a post up, we're lucky to get like 10,
Really?
1, 2 likes. And you're kind of thinking, what's happening? And of course, all they do is put the algorithms in to block you from anyone seeing it. So, really interesting.
Yeah. So much for freedom of speech. And as I will know from first-hand experience, freedom of the press is also going down the tubes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
What is your take on artificial intelligence, Doctor?
I'm concerned about it because I think, what they're trying to do is dumb people down and try and get AI to... The thing is about artificial intelligence, it's artificial, of course. Mm-hmm. It learns by what it hears or what it processes little by little. And depending on the narrative of the person who's teaching it would depend on whether it's good or bad. I mean, it can have good, positive impacts to people if it was used properly, but of course it's not being. And so they have algorithms, going around listening to your, listen to your videos, mm-hmm. listen to everything else. And like I say, if they don't like something, they take it down, and I mean, the amount of videos going on YouTube, Facebook, and all these sort of things, they could never listen to themselves. So they've got these bots listening in, also learning things. I mean, it's interesting that I became aware of this. I know if you talk, if your phone's on and you talk, and you think, well, I could do with a greenhouse, or something. And you don't even have to have Facebook on. And then when you go on Facebook, loads of adverts come up for greenhouses. Mm-hmm. But now they're actually tapping into brainwaves where, even if you think of it, and I thought, let's try this out. And so I tried with my Galaxy phone, and I just thought about something, and like a car or something. Just thought about it. Sure enough, it came up. So they are reading brainwaves as well, which is crazy, crazy.
What gives them the right to do this?
I don't think anything. I think it's a complete invasion of people's privacy. They have no right at all. I mean, certainly here in the United States with the Constitution, they have no right at all. People have freedom to speak. And, now they're looking at, trying to put people in jail for, if they talk against a government or against anything, big pharma, big tech. So, if they... It's a crazy world. Very interesting, though, but crazy.
So as long as you cater to those who are making the money and making all the decisions, you can have a little bit of freedom. But if you open your mouth and say, hey, I disagree with that, they take you down.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, they're tyrannical governments, basically. They're installed puppets and, basically they're trying to control everybody. I mean, look at these 15-minute cities and all this sort of thing. It started with EVs. Well, you can have an electric vehicle. Well, how good are they? Well, first of all, they spontaneous combust. So if you've got it in your garage in the middle of the night and the thing goes on fire, it's not like just it goes on fire. It burns like a firework, like really intense. So that'll destroy your house. So I wouldn't even trust it being in my garage. And if you're driving it, what happens if it starts going on fire and you get stuck inside?
Exactly.
These things are very unstable, but they don't go anywhere because of the charge. I think that was a transition to 15-minute city. Oh, everyone's got EVs. Okay, well, no one can drive anywhere because there's no charges. So let's put you in 15-minute cities, and therefore you don't have to go anywhere. Everything's there. And I think it's falling apart completely.
My wife was telling me earlier today that there is an electric vehicle manufacturer who's having a major recall of all the electric vehicles they manufactured and sold because of explosions. The vehicles can explode.
Absolutely. I've seen a few, reels on YouTube, and, when they go on fire, they really, you're right, they explode rather than just, oh, it's gone on fire. They kind of burn so fiercely that, wow, not for me. I have no intention of having an electric vehicle. Or living actually in a 15-minute city either, not my cup of tea.
What about transhumanism?
Well, that's an interesting question. Rob, I mean, I've been working with it kind of started off. I mean, there's a few aspects to it. There's one with things like Neuralink and connecting people's brain to a chip so you can actually interface with their brain. To me, that's crazy, but people are volunteering to try it. But then there's also the transhumanism with nanoparticles. Now, this is really interesting. Now, I've worked with Morgellons for the last 14 years. When I first learned of it, I was working with a world-leading, probably top of the game, industrial toxicologist. And she taught me how these Morgellons particles work, because she's seen them. She's been to DARPA. She's seen, they're so small, they're 10 to the -9 small, they're grown.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they? Well, there's a couple of things. One is a nanotube, which the tubes, which are graphene, of course carbon, they've got complementary metal oxide transistor arrays, so packed in so they can actually transmit, they can read your body, they have monitoring systems on them. And so that in itself, that's why they wanted 5G, so they can pick up, they can see your heart rate, they can see sexual activity, they can see, your liver activity, they can see compounds in your body. I mean, completely invasive.
Yeah.
And, wrong. But, so you also have the spheres. Now, what are the spheres? Well, a graphene oxide nanosphere has 92 holes drilled in it. And what they've done is load different like pathogens and bacterial instruments. And it can be triggered at different frequencies, 92 different frequencies. So if they want to release something in your body, they just press a frequency, it's released. But in addition to that, these things grow. So the nano grows. How does it grow? Well, the other thing as well. Let's go back a bit. The graphene is bound to different instruments, like nylons, like nylon 3633. Your shirt, if it's nylon, will be nylon 9. Now these have different components. So it bind it with nylon, bind it with plant material. It's also bound with a thing called Borrelia, which is the stealth pathogen of Lyme disease. And so when these things grow, what do you need for growth? Well, oxygen, warmth, water, and your body's got all that. So these things actually physically grow. And I've had people, pulling me over and say, well, Morgellons it's basically fungus. It acts like fungus, but it's not fungus. It's a nanotechnology. And of course, as they grow through the body, they grow through the skin, the tissue, muscle tissue, everything else. Because it's programmed with AI, it starts to overtake your body. And I've seen people who've had really bad Morgellons say, wow, I feel like a dual person. There's like part of me here and part of me there. They don't understand what's happening to them.
Chris, can you stand by for a moment? You and I have to take our first break. And as always, Chris, thank you very much for coming on the show. I deeply appreciate this. And Exo Nation, when we come back, Dr. Chris Macklin and I will keep this, this conversation on Morgellons going, as well as this other topics from the strange and this weird world that we live in. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side as we continue here from our broadcast center in St. Catharines, Ontario, and around the world on Classic 1220.
Painted up your lips and rolled and curled your tinted hair. Ruby, are you contemplating going out somewhere? The shadow on the wall tells me the sun is going down. Oh, Ruby, don't take your love to town.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Christopher Macklin is my very special guest this hour. His website is globalenlightenmentproject.com. And again, Chris, thanks very much for joining you. And in the earlier segment, I was talking about the recall of the electric cars here in Canada. And it's Nissan who is sending out do not drive vehicle warnings here in Canada to anyone who owns a Nissan electric vehicle. There you go. That explosion you see down the road is Nissan. Poof. That'd be a great commercial. I can just imagine the song, boom, 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 another one bites the dust, poof, there goes a car.
Or you could have your own mobile fire pit.
That is true. You know, people are thinking these two guys are whacked, but I'll tell you something. Truth is stranger than fiction can ever be, Chris.
Absolutely.
You've been in this business, and I've been in this business 35, 40 years now. And between the two of us, we've seen a lot of strange stuff. And like we were talking during the commercial break, the people of this generation have no idea about the people who have come before that you and I both know, who are really, truly the unsung heroes when it comes to exposing and working very hard and suffering personal retribution because of their beliefs. And one of them was the lady that you were talking about when it came to Morgellons, Dr. Hildy Staninger.
Absolutely. I mean, the woman's she's an absolute genius. She's been to court, as an expert witness for many people, but she decided to, get out of it basically because they've tried to take her out many, many times, and I think she's just done with it, But she's done some incredible work. I mean, I learned everything about Morgellons from her, and there was a little bit more I learned from a German gentleman called Harold Quartz, whose work is amazing as well, because it's interesting. There's an interdimensional aspect to this. Some of these metallic structures, they can actually switch out of this dimension.
Really?
And I was having problems with that, so I eventually figured out how to actually take it out of the body, but it took me a little while.
Unreal. And then I don't want to get off the topic of Morgellons, but there are a few other people that I would like to raise my hat to and tell our listeners about. You've got Major Doug Rockey. He was in charge of the cleanup of the first Gulf War, going way back, X-Zone Nation. And because of the cleaning that he and his team were charged with under General Schwarzkopf, they dealt with depleted uranium. Now, depleted uranium are put in artillery shells that go into artillery batteries as well as in tanks. And because they are made of depleted uranium, what they do is they just go through whatever they hit just like butter. He himself, Dr. Rockey, is suffering from cancer now himself. When it comes, so Dr. Doug Rockey, thank you for all your hard work. And what the Americans did in Gulf War by using depleted uranium shells, depleted uranium ammunition, was against the United Nations Charter.
Absolutely.
And Doug Rockey has come on this show and other shows, and he has stood on the top of the mountain trying to get people to understand the danger and trying to get people to question why the people who decided to use depleted uranium have not been brought to justice. And God bless you, Dougie, for what you're doing. And another great hero that I've had the pleasure of talking to over the years is Dr. Betty Martini, who is one of the main whistleblowers on aspartame and what aspartame can do to you and what aspartame has done to millions and millions of people. Now, something that I did not know until Dr. Martini came on the show, Chris, was that, let's say, during Desert Storm 1 or 2 or wherever the U.S. troops and other troops are protecting our freedom, let's say they leave a case of Diet Pop out in the sun. The temperature goes over 80 degrees. What happens to what's in that can of pop? Wood alcohol forms. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It is. It is. And another thing that people don't realize is that Ritalin that we give our children is a derivative of speed.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
God, what the hell are we doing to people, Chris?
Well, I think they're completely destroying them. I mean, the autism rate has gone up. Now they believe 1 in 36 people are going to become autistic. Why is that? Because it's nothing to do with the birth. It's to do with all the toxic chemicals in vaccines, heavy metals, the serum can create encephalitis, and I mean, my daughter I adopted 5 years ago, Mandy's daughter, I adopted her 5 years ago. she's got massive brain damage from both of those things.
Oh, God bless her.
You know, and it came from the DTaP. You know, so it's kind of really sad. I mean, we're getting it better, you know, bit by bit. But you know, with the brain, it takes a while to start rebuilding it.
It does. It does. And speaking about the brain, there's another unsung hero I'd like to talk about, and that is Dr. Michelle Rathbone, who has done work in trying to regenerate and rejuvenate the spinal cord after there's been a spinal injury. So he's here at McMaster University, and Michelle, hats off to you. Chris, the work that you've done over the years has opened the eyes, hearts, and made people realize that we are living in a time that this planet has never seen before. People are living longer, and there's the chain effect of that because it's also affecting our health system. Mind you, Big Pharma loves it. The hospital administrators love it. But what are we doing to the people that we are prolonging their lives? And anyone who works in the medical field or in hospitals or retirement homes, they see sights that these people are just being kept alive for the money.
Exactly. They're not, so they're suffering.
They are.
But many thousands of years ago, people used to live a lot longer. And I think over the period of time, I think with the toxicity from food, in the air, with chemtrails, I mean, the chemtrails have got this nanotech in them.
Yeah.
You know, transmissional frequencies, you name it, you know. I mean, some people, sometimes, you know, I'm talking to a client, they say, well, there's got to be something that's not hijacked in this planet. And I go, hang on a minute, let me think. Oh, that'll be everything. Even, you know, even films, Disney, you know, you name it, it's hijacked. And, you know, it's time for us to, you know, I think it's time for the people to take our power back and say, enough's enough.
Exactly.
Know? These tyrannical governments, we want them out. You know, we want people who, we want a smaller government, I believe. I mean, to me, I'm no politician or anything. I'm not interested, but I think it'd be better in the United States to put the power back to the states and just have a commander in chief. And I think we should stand a much better chance. So you know, the power's not overturned, and the checks and balances will be more in place. But I think something needs to change. I mean, it's like the chemtrails. People often ask me, well, you know, if you got Borrelia and Morgellon's particles and the chemtrails, how come I haven't got Morgellons and other people do? And the answer is because it depends on whether your DNA is damaged. And now the old way, you know, because DNA, RNA, immune system, it's all connected. And the problem is with these new virologists, they don't understand this stuff at all because it's something they haven't seen. They haven't been taught that how do you bind nylon with carbon? Well, it's off-planet technology. So to make it grow, you need to destroy the immune response. So how do you do that? The old way was ingest agrobacterium. It's in GMO foods and it's in old vaccines. The new way is called CRISPR technology, and that splices the chromosomes, destroys the DNA. And I'm finding people who take these vaccines, you know, it's basically a bioweapon, but it's based on Morgellons. Their immune system is running something like 18% of what it should do. So in come cancers and all sorts of horrible things happening. You know, it's crazy.
It is. And Chris, for the listeners who may not know what a chemtrail is, how would you best describe it?
Well, it's geoengineering. They describe it as geoengineering. They're trying to make the excuse to block the sun out, so because they're saying that the planet's getting too hot, you know, global warming, all this sort of thing. But what they're doing is they're spewing a lot of aluminum, barium, strontium. It dumbs down your third eye and things like this, and also the Morgellons particles as well. And what they're trying to do is, you know, get it. If it's 10 to the minus 9 small, if it lands on your skin, it sinks through the skin. It's that small. So a chemtrail is. But they're talking about geoengineering, and they're using it for that as well. I mean, we've found in the last, I would say, 2 months around Branson Hollister in Missouri, the storms have been crazy.
Yes.
Tornadoes. They've got way worse. And, you know, so how do you affect the weather? Well, if you've got in the upper atmosphere lots of particles of aluminum, if you shine the harp is basically a huge array. They shine up about 10 billion watts of power.
And it's found in Alaska.
It's in Alaska, and
Yep.
actually, I don't know where you've seen it, Rob, but they've made a mobile one. The thing's absolutely huge. It's huge. It's like one of these, when they tow one of these massive, plants, by road.
Right. Yes.
It's about twice as big as one of them on wheels. And what they do is shine it up, heat the atmosphere.
Right.
Then they get the right pressure factor, and suddenly, you get really tumultuous weather. It's amazing.
Chris, stand by. But before we go, Exonation, when we're talking about chemtrails, when you look up in the sky and you see what you think is a contrail or a condensation trail from a jet, and then you look up and you see multiple different patterns, many people who believe that chemtrails are real, and the evidence is starting to point to yes, it is. You look up there and you see these patterns. That is disbursement of the chemicals in the air by aircraft, and the chemicals then fall to Earth and on people, plants, cities, whatever. Dr. Christopher Macklin and I will be back on the other side of this short break. And if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, globalenlightenmentproject.com. And we'll both be back as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Yesterday we had Kyle Upton on from the Ghost Tours in Fort George. Fascinating guy, and I've taken the Ghost Tours. It's amazing. Visit Kyle's website, ghostniagara.com, and get more information. It's a great way to spend some time while visiting the beautiful Niagara region and St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Oh, Ruby, don't take your love to town. It wasn't me that started that old crazy Asian war.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Christopher Macklin is my special guest. And a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about subliminal messaging. Remember in the old TV shows, they used to have subliminal messages put in, as well as in the movies that you'd go and watch. And you would get these feelings of hunger, these feelings of thirst, even though before you started watching this movie or this TV show, there was nothing. Or you'd get an idea to buy this kind of car or buy this kind of produce. It was subliminal advertising. And somebody said to me, well, Rob, we don't have to worry about that anymore because the internet. And I said, give your head a shake. There is more subliminal information being screened at you when you're searching the internet. Whether you're watching something on the internet, it's there. We're being bombarded by subliminal advertising, subliminal information, and now by subliminal political aspirations as well. So, Chris, what do we do? How do we gain back what we've lost and get back to the earlier times when we could watch Leave It to Beaver on TV, the Jackie Gleason show, Bonanza, Walt Disney, the old days with, Walt. Life has changed so radically, so fast. It doesn't seem possible that technology could have accomplished so much in so little time.
No, and I think it's gone way too fast, which shows you that it's been introduced. It's off-planet technology. It's not. I remember in 1986, I had a digital computer, and I was using it for some applications, and the thing was huge. And I had a TU-80 hard drive.
Wow.
It was like a massive fridge, and it was 80 kilobytes of information you could store on it. I thought, wow, that's huge. Now it's like, nah, it's terabytes.
That's right, yeah.
So it's gone so quickly. So, especially the nanotechnology. The nanotechnology to me is key because, with the Greys doing a deal with, first of all Hitler, and then they did it with Truman, moved on to Eisenhower. When the paperclip project moved over here, they gave them all the technology they wanted, and it's like giving a 2-year-old keys to a Ferrari. It's not good. And so all this technology is here, but, with the people in charge, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, Illuminati, they're using it for not so good things, of course, and, that's important.
So why are the Greys involved? Who asked them to be part of anything? What have they contributed to the positive side of the world besides the alien abductions, the cattle mutilation, the trauma that they have inflicted on millions of people?
Well, their species evolved where A, they couldn't reproduce, and B, they have no love in their heart. They're very robotic. They're AI type beings. They have no empathy, sympathy, nothing. They're just like stone cold, and they want to get their species back to where it should be, where they can reproduce, they can have love in their hearts. So that's why they signed with the government, saying, look, we'll give you the technology if we can abduct your people and steal their body bits, eggs, sperm, whatever it is. And now they're creating grey humanoids on a different, a different planet.
Right.
And they wanted to get their people back because the grey reticula's in, it's a planet in Orion's belt. It was destroyed from warfare. So they're down here. I mean, everyone wants this planet. It's such a beautiful place.
It is.
Everyone wants it, beautiful, beautiful place. And, human beings are beautiful. The problem is that, if you start creating humanoids like reptilian humanoids, for example, in the government, all they're interested in is power, control, greed. They're not interested in love. They're not interested in empathy, sympathy, anything else. So they want to try and take over this planet. And that's one of the things I've always talked about. Part of the geoengineering thing is trying to block the sun out to reduce the plant life, because the things under the planet, Anunnaki, Draconians, whatever, and Luciferians, of course, a lot of them under the Vatican. Vatican's completely connected to them. They want to actually come on top of the planet, but they can't breathe the oxygen we breathe. So if they're going to come on top of the planet, they're going to have to reduce the oxygen.
If the Greys did make a deal with the governments, Chris, to replicate and to abduct citizens against their will, why wasn't it put into a positive spin where the government, well, first of all, the government lets the people know, look, the ETs are here. Here they are. To my left is Sam and George, and to my right is Rick and Paula. They're aliens. They're Greys. They're from another planet. Yes, you've seen their UFOs in the sky. Yes, one of their craft did crash in Roswell. Yes, Kenneth Arnold did see these craft. Here's the deal, members of the planet Earth. Their planet died. They want to rebuild their planet. They want to rebuild their civilization. They need our help. Instead of, and what they're willing to do in exchange for our help is give us technology, give us this, give us that, in exchange for our help. Now, members of the global community, who would like to volunteer to be part of this new project working with the governments of the world and the ETs to do something wonderful together? Chris, why didn't they take that spin? It would have been so much easier.
I think because there's many factions on this planet, not just the Greys. The reptilians are very aggressive. They have the technology, but they didn't give the technology to us, of course. These reptilians have lived on the planet for eons, millions and millions of years under the planet, and I think so there's not just one faction, there's several factions, and they've kind of got together to agree that, okay, we'll try and take over the planet. So I don't think it was that easy. There's a lot of politics, I would imagine, involved with that, you know. But it would have been a better choice, you know, but certainly. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So all these people, I'm calling the reptilians and the other, the Anunnaki and everybody else people, all these other visitors or residents of our planet who live underground. Is this where the hollow Earth theory comes from?
Yeah, the Earth is fairly hollow. I mean, I've remote viewed down at some of these places, and I mean, it's horrible. It smells like death, so I don't remote view it anymore because it's just not pleasant. But certainly Luciferians. I mean, they're all these factions. I mean, Luciferians are connected to the Vatican. That's why the Vatican effectively worships Lucifer, who's the head of the Luciferians. And there's a lot more of them than there are of us down here. But I think they just want to take control. They want all the special, the precious metals and anything else on the planet. They're not interested in the human race at all, and so that's why there's quite a battle on our hands, them versus us, and we're winning, because we have love in our hearts. We've got God behind us. To me, the key is God's got your back. And when you were mentioning the chemtrails, I was thinking to myself, it's interesting because, like you say, contrails, they're gone within like a few minutes. They start disappearing. Chemtrails just expand out. And people say, well, what can we do about it? Well, do a prayer, a map of intent. And we have one on our website. If you want to use it, please use it. And it's basically looking at the chemtrail and grounding yourself and saying, dear God, I command that this chemtrail turns into purified water. And you could do it, and people say, it doesn't work. I've tried this all over the world, especially in Scotland. I don't know why, but Scotland seems one of the worst places hit at the moment with chemtrails. And this lady was doing it, I said, test it out. And she did it, and within 5 miles of her house, they disappeared.
Wow.
So it does work. People say, oh, we haven't got the money, we can't. Well, you can. All you have to do is believe in yourself and say the prayer with power, because don't forget, you've got dipoles in your brain. Basically, nerve endings are dipoles. If you say something with real authority, I want this doing now, then, that energy will go out to the universe and it will create its reality. And these prayers work.
Chris, talking in a religious faction here, why doesn't God, who I believe is the creator of everything, good and evil, why doesn't he just rid the planet of these forces that are endangering us, Earthlings? Why doesn't he just go, poof, goodbye?
Yeah, bye. We don't need you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And the answer is, if you look at the keys of Enoch, the keys of Enoch are the keys of the universe, or the keys down here, basically. So what does that mean? Well, this planet was created as like it's basically a classroom to grow spiritually. Okay, so when you're coming down here, they show you, well, don't forget, you've got reptilians that are attached to you, you've got this and that, before you come down here. Oh, yeah, no problem, because you're in the God realm, before you're born down here, there's only unconditional love, there's no problem. Yeah, I'll do it, no problem. So when you get down here, you think, oh, my goodness, what was I thinking? But actually, I actually love the planet. I love it, but I think what you've got to do is, part of our journey is, when you're born down here, even Prime Creator, and like I agree with you, Rob, I believe Prime Creator is in everything, everywhere, Prime Creator. I think, it was developed that it's a classroom and they can't interfere. They've got to allow people down here to learn for themselves, and it's an extreme classroom. So to me, the power of prayer is the best way of getting help. You can only get help if someone down here asks for it. If they don't ask for it and God's kind of sitting there, then come on, guys, someone just asked for something so I can help you. It must be very frustrating for the off-planet beings who are here to help, the good guys, the benevolent ones, and Prime Creator itself. So that's the key. The keys of Enoch. Can't interfere. Free will down here unless you ask, and you've got to ask with authority, because of course you've got to get that dipole, that energy out there, those thoughts out there, so that, oh right, they need help, let's get down here and do some help.
Stand by, Chris. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exonation, our guest this hour is Dr. Christopher Macklin, and his website is globalenlightenmentproject.com. And the good doctor and I will be back on the other side as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone. But don't forget, hour number 2 will start just shortly after the passing of the top of the next hour. I'm impressed with the way that came out. I'll be back on the other side as we wrap up from our studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streaming classic1220.ca.
Loving you ain't so easy. Would never try to please me, but I've got time.
Love is strange. Lot of people take it for a game. Once you get it, you never wanna quit. After you've had it, you're in an awful fix.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the final segment of this first part of our show tonight. Hour number 2 starts right after the top of the hour messages and, in some of our affiliates, news. By the way, I'd also like to welcome a brand new affiliate here to the X Zone Nation, and I'm talking about WVED in the state of Michigan. So there you go, guys. Welcome to the X Zone Nation. Dr. Christopher Macklin's our guest, and his website is globalenlightenmentproject.com. And Christopher, what is the Global Enlightenment Project?
Well, it's basically to help people get enlightened. You know, I'm a great believer that I don't believe in gurus. There's a lot of sick people now, you know, from stress, from cancers, from, you know, all types of things, MS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and it's all to do with pathogens, stealth pathogens, toxicity, digestive issues, you know, pancreatic issues. And, you know, it's important, you know, for me, I'm here to help people get back to their guru self. Let's get their vibration up so they can take their power back and step out in the world and do some amazing things. And of course, so many people have got trauma. I mean, who hasn't got trauma in this world? The answer is probably everybody to a certain extent. And, you know, a lot of anxiety. So, you know, with what's happening on the planet at the moment. But, you know, again, you know, I always encourage people, take a step back. Look, this is the matrix. Step out the matrix. Do some fun things in your life. Get people around you who love you, who hold the space for you, who aren't going to berate you. And, you know, just enjoy your time here as well. You know, I mean, I love being here. I love the work I do. I haven't always loved it. When I was in corporate, I thought, I used to go to work, oh, blimey, there's got to be something better than this. And I was earning a ton of money, but it didn't matter. You know, I wasn't interested. And then, of course, when I went bankrupt, that all changed. And now that money disappeared, everything disappeared. I was living out of a car. What a blessing that was. I wouldn't want to do it again, mind you. But it really taught me about stuff. Stuff doesn't matter. It's about people. It's about experiences. You can't take stuff with you, but you can certainly take memories, experiences, and you know, I love service to others. I love helping people so much.
Would you say that going bankrupt, living in a car, and going from, if you'll excuse the expression, riches to rags, and then having a better understanding was part of why you came to this planet?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because when I went bankrupt, I mean, someone let me borrow an apartment in Manchester for like 2 weeks and said you can stay there for 2 weeks. And I was sitting there with 2 bags of like Walmart bags, or in England it's called Tesco's, with a couple of shirts, a couple of pantaloons, about a couple of bit, you know, and I was kind of thinking, I've done 21 years of work, and this is it, you know. What on earth is going on? Okay, God, this is not funny. What's going on? And I remember this complete message in my head, it's the right time. What do you mean it's the right time? It's the right time, you'll see. And do you know what, Rob, I did? It just took a while. And I look back as a blessing. I don't want to do it again, but it really turned my life upside down, and I love life now.
What do you think about the homeless situation in the United States and Canada, Christopher?
I think it's horrific. I think, and all this border control and things that are going south, all the money they're using, it's out of control. I mean, there shouldn't be homeless people. But of course, all the aliens that are coming in, how do you manage to fund them with people's taxpayers' money? The answer is you can't. Yeah. It has to be addressed. But yeah, it's a real problem.
Earlier tonight, we were talking about nanotechnology. We've been talking about Morgellons. I'd just like to touch on something here, Christopher, that it seems to me that I can see, and I have noticed, a shift in the way people react and how they treat each other ever since the cell towers have gone up all over the place.
Yeah.
It seems that this part of the brainwashing that we're going through, or is this because of the G5, the Bluetooth, and microwaves?
Well, it's all connected to the nanotech, because the nanotech can be sent frequencies and messages, and the nanotech can actually, through the brain, can actually start to believe things. And people's, I think since this has all happened, people's personalities have changed a lot. The other thing you've got to realize about CRISPR technology, if you damage your DNA, it's not compatible with your soul. So your soul lifts out the body, in comes an archon, because archons have no body. They float through the second, third, or fourth dimension. They attach to you, and then people become like a little bit more aggressive, but detached. It's unusual, and lack of concentration. It's all connected. The 5G is connected to the nanotech. That's why they wanted to put the towers up.
So would you say that we're not only getting challenged by extraterrestrials, but we're also getting and having to fight interdimensional and interuniversal creatures as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, some of these creatures are the fourth dimension, the greys in the fourth dimension. And don't forget, we've got the good guys, the Pleiadians, Arcturians, Lemurians, Atlantarians, Andromedans, and obviously McConnell's there. All these guys are here to help us. But they're interdimensional beings as well. But, they have craft, so there's a lot of UFO activity at the moment. But sometimes you can't see the UFOs because they cloak themselves. I mean, I have the ability to see through the veil so I can see them. But very often they'll coat themselves so that, you can't see them. Or they'll hide and look like a cloud, like the Palladian craft tend to look like fluffy clouds. It's really interesting. But they're here to help. And by goodness, I think we need some help right now. I don't know about you, but this place is nuts. I love it, but it's crazy.
So how do we handle the increase of UFO technology and the increase of UFO sightings when we have the congressional hearing on UFOs, UAPs? That was nothing else but a farce. Where do people go?
Even the Vatican were coming out saying that they want a meeting about UFOs and everything else, and then what happened is they completely debunked UFOs. Well, they exist. They've existed for such a long time. I've seen them a lot. I've been in contact with some of these beings, and they're there. It's just that people don't have their eyes open. And if you really open your eyes, you can probably see some of these things craft at night. It's amazing.
Are there any exercises, or are there any guidelines that you can help our listeners to who want to look up at the skies at night and see these UFOs?
You've got to be patient, and you just got to really look. But one of the biggest things is let your eyes go, because sometimes when you stare into space and you're not really focused on anything, you just let your eyes go. Yeah. You can see things better then. Sometimes you can see the outline of the energy, even if they're cloaked. You can see the outline of the energy. So but a lot of people don't really look that hard, and therefore you're not really seeing exactly what's there.
So how does one tell who the good guys are and the bad guys are?
Well, it's kind of intuition. I mean, I've got 3 what they call watchers. It comes from Enoch, but 3 watcher craft that if something happens, they turn up, and they did when I was on this ranch, and in Arizona, and they turned up when I was trying to shut down the portals, and it took me about 2 days, and I shut them down eventually. And these guys turned up. When I opened the portal, they turned up straight away. There was 3 craft, and they were only about half a mile away. Then within 5 or 6 minutes, the helicopters, military helicopters, were surrounding them. They were doing a wide berth, but you could see, like, what do we do with this?
Yeah.
And it took me 40 minutes. As soon as I shut the portal down, they left. So, yeah. But there are, certain places that you can go. If you look on the internet, there's certain ranches that you can go and, if you want to view the activity, there's more activity in certain ranches than there are maybe around your house.
Why doesn't disclosure just happen? Why are the governments of the world just dragging their heels on this? Because millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of people believe with all their hearts because they've seen, they've been in contact, or they've been abducted and brought back, that this is a reality to them.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's a lot to do with they don't want people distracted with off-planet beings and as their savior. Certainly the Vatican, I don't think, wants to lose parishioners, so they want to debunk it, so people just focus on the Vatican and focus on Catholicism and all this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I think they're trying to, but because if they saw craft in the sky and aliens come down, that's going to make people rethink everything. And they don't want people to think. They just want people to just follow staunch religion, politics, whatever they're doing.
But once again, if they were to approach it as a positive, that these two are God's creations and that they're here to help, they're just like the angels that descend and help us in our time of need. Why is everything a negative spin and nothing a positive spin?
Well, that's because the whole world is being run by reptilian hybrids and reptilians themselves, and they've got no positive spin on anything. They just want control. And so if anything comes to possibly break that narrative, they want to actually refocus on, debunk everything. Wow. Let's not even go there, because they don't want people to have the ability to think for themselves. They just really want to program people. Let's just focus on what's here. Don't focus on the off-planet beings, because that could get people thinking and, start thinking in a much more positive way. So, it's tyrannical, deep state, negative things, beings and people and hybrids that are controlling this planet. It's all about money.
Isn't everything? Money, the root of all evil.
It can be. Yeah, I don't involve myself with money. It's funny because my accountant, we run this ministry and I don't involve myself with accounting at all. The accountant does all the accounting. Mm-hmm. And when she's filing the tax, she said, "Do you want to read them?" I said, "No, let me see." That'd be a nope. And she started laughing. She said, "You're really not interested?" I said, "Look, I wouldn't know whether they're right or wrong. I pay you to do that. If you think they're okay, file them. If you don't, then let's fix them and file them again." So,
that's all.
That's all.
As always, Christopher, time goes by so fast when you're with us. First of all, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing all the information that you have. And as always, the door is always open to you, my friend, and I look forward to the next time you and I meet down here at the X Zone. And please give my very best to your staff who have always helped out making these interviews possible.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Let's do it again. I'd love to.
Anytime, my friend. You take care of yourself.
Thanks for having me on.
Right. Bye-bye, Chris. God bless you too, my friend. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, Dr. Christopher Macklin, visit globalenlightenmentproject.com. That's globalenlightenmentproject.com. I'll be back on the other side of the little bit of break that we take at the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. And don't forget, the X Zone TV channel is coming to Mojo Media. More about that as we get closer to the launch date, and I'll even tell you when that is in the very near future.